In this video, you're going to see a full unboxing and review of the Triton JOF001 router. We'll cover what you get in the box, the build quality, the setup and how well it works. Check it out. So I brought this router for just under £170 from Toolstation, and after a lot of research I felt that this one was the best value. Honourable mentions of the other couple that I nearly bought were the Rutland's half-inch precision router and the Trend T7. The thing that swung it for me was the fact that you can adjust this whilst mounted in a table, which is exactly my plan for this one. That and the fact it's bright orange, so I'm not going to lose it. Let's see what we get in the box.
Okay, so upon opening the box, everything seems well packaged and each item is in its own plastic bag. You get the adjustable spanner, various collets, fence, and the height adjustment handle. Then underneath there's the base plate. Ooh, shiny. Then there's the instructions. Won't be needing those. Then there's the router itself. It's shrunk down for transport, so you just need to flick the lever and up it pops. This is the 6mm collet, and as you can see it's fairly greasy. Not too much of a problem, it just needs a quick wipe down with a paper towel. The same goes for the half-inch and the 12mm ones. Really it'd be much better to forego the 12mm and 6mm ones in the UK and just have the half-inch and quarter-inch ones. I did a quick Google search and found this one on FFX for £17.50 with free delivery. I ordered it and it arrived the next day. Happy days. So here it is, everything you get in the box. Router, collets, spanner, height adjustment handle, fence, base plate and instructions. The first impression is that the cable looks to be very substantial and a good length too. You can often judge the quality of something by the cable that's on it. I really like the quality of the plastics on this machine as well. It feels high quality and not flimsy. There's no rough edges and it all feels really solid. There's a nice little safety feature here where you can only turn on the router by sliding this little door over the switch. It means you can't accidentally turn it on when handling it. I've done this before with another router and it can catch you off guard and could be dangerous. This door then sits open while it's on, and as soon as you hit the off switch it shuts over it again to avoid accidents. Right, dust collection. The attachments for my vac don't fit, but that makes sense as the port is semi-threaded to accept a vacuum hose directly by the looks of things. I've tried mine and it does seem to fit, but as I've got tape on the end of my hose to adapt to all my other tools, it won't hold properly. So I need to give it a fair chance when I get myself some better hoses. Regarding the plunge feature, it's not particularly smooth and can actually be a struggle at times to push it down. Clearly it just needs some sort of lubrication on it, so I'll be adding that at some stage soon. Although it won't be much of an issue for me when it's mounted into a table. To set the cut depth, you've got these thumb wheels to set to the desired depth. Everything feels really solid and it's just a case of turning the knob to release the spring-loaded pin, which then allows us to zero it all in and set the appropriate depth. I wonder if the thumb wheels may vibrate out of place with prolonged use, so it might be something just to keep an eye on. You've got an adjustable speed wheel on the top that goes from 1 to 5. Nice and simple to use, but the level actually lines up with the end of the wheel rather than the middle, which feels a bit unusual, but not really an issue as it's still pretty clear what speed you've set it to. This is the micro adjustment knob and it's pretty straightforward to use. It's great for dialing in your depth and is the feature that helps it adjust when mounted into a router table as well. Turning it upside down, you can see my scruffy workbench has already marked the black plastic on the base, but that doesn't matter as I'll only get worse over time anyway. Here's where you insert the lift adjustment handle. The handle's not the most solid feeling thing on the router and you have to make sure that the slot is lined up, but once it's in, it rotates easy enough and you can see how it simply just turns the micro adjustment knob when it's rotated. Simple, but effective. To insert your collet, you'll need to plunge it fully and lock it off. This engages the spindle lock, which means you can fit your collet with one hand. No fiddling around with two spanners like some of the other models out there. Your collet just screws in, but make sure you don't tighten it with the spanner until you've inserted your router bit as it could damage the collet. To fit the base plate, you've got these knobs that have a spring-loaded bolt on them, which means you don't run the risk of losing them. Simply unscrew them sufficiently and then grab the base plate, which I have to say is really nice. It's got these rubber stops which show you where to line the router up, and then you just push the bolts down so they slot into the keyholes in the base plate. Slide them across and lock it off. There's a plastic piece held on by a wing nut at the end which unscrews and adjusts. It's got a hole in it for you to hammer a nail through. If you hammer a nail through this into your workpiece, you can use it to cut radiuses and small circles. I'd also say that with a longer piece of plywood or plastic, you could extend this for bigger circles easily enough as well. The fence is also really solid and has the same plastic adjustment knobs. It just slides straight onto the base plate. It's a little stiff to fit, but not necessarily a bad thing, as it means it won't slide around a lot when tightening everything up. You can then simply loosen the knobs and adjust it to your workpiece before tightening them back up again. Because it's on the base plate, it feels a lot more stable than some of the fences I've used with other smaller routers. To remove the base plate, simply unscrew the spring-loaded bolts and slide it off. To add your router bit, just turn the router upside down and it sits really nicely on your workbench. You can then fully plunge it and lock the lever. I have to say though that this lever is the only bit I'm concerned about, as it feels a bit weaker than the other plastics. Time will tell if it's an issue though, and I'm definitely willing to give it the benefit of the doubt for now. I didn't have any 1/2-inch router bits and will be buying myself a full set at some point, but for now I just bought this Trendcraft Pro straight bit so I could try it out. I've always heard good things about the Trend bit, so I thought I'd give it a go. You simply loosen off the collet sufficiently to fit the bit in, then slide your bit in and tighten it up. Because the collet is locked off, you only need to use a single spanner, and it's a joy to use as they've even put a slight angle onto the spanner so you don't trap your fingers. Another great feature is that when you switch the power on to the router, it lights up the on-off switch, which is really easy to tell if it's live or not. Right, let's test it out. I'm going to run it freehand through this bit of wood without any dust collection on it first, so you can see what it's like with and without the dust collection. It went through really easily, and the soft start means it doesn't jerk in your hands as it starts up. As you can see, there was quite a bit of sawdust, but the cut looks really neat, so I'm happy with that. I hoovered up and attached my vac. The temporary solution I've got is a rubber attachment which doesn't fit great, so I had to hold it on. But as this was a short cut and didn't need to be straight, I was happy to just hold it in. However, I'd always recommend that you use both hands when operating the router ordinarily. Having a look at the floor, there was significantly less sawdust, so I have to say that the dust port seems pretty effective. Removing the bit is as simple as installing it. Just plunge it, grab the spanner, loosen it off, and remove the bit. I thought it would be useful for you to see it against some other routers to gauge the size and quality. I've got the Katsu Palm router and a firm 1/4-inch Plunge router here. You can see that it's noticeably bigger, but perhaps not quite as bulky as it may seem when looking at it on its own. I think it's an ideal size for a lot of uses. Comparing the fences, I like the fact that it has holes in it so I can attach a strip of plywood or MDF to create a single straight edge when running along a single edge of my workpiece. The Katsu fence is generally pretty rubbish and doesn't have this feature, whereas it is on my firm router, and you can see I've already got a strip of plywood on that one. I also made this offset base from a piece of MDF on my Katsu Palm router to give me more stability on my workpieces, but the larger base on the Triton means that I won't need to make anything like this for it. And here they are side by side, just so you can see the difference.
So what do I think about this router? Great price, great quality, love the fence, love the fact that you can adjust it in a router table. Would I buy it again? Absolutely. If you've got any questions about this particular router or routing in general, if you want to see a video of me making the router table for this one, comment below and let me know. If you like this video, you'll want to watch this video next. See you next time.